Chosen ones, something irreversible is happening now. The atmosphere around you didn't change by accident. It shifted because truth can no longer be contained. What was once whispered in corners is leaking through the cracks, and the system that thrived on silence is losing its grip. In this symbolic moment, Elon Musk represents the architect mind, the one who understands structures, algorithms, and hidden frameworks, finally acknowledging that the old design no longer holds. Here's what ties directly to your experience. Someone in your social circle built their entire identity around control, being the one who leaves first, who never needs, who never bleeds. They chased people who would eventually reject them because rejection kept them safe. But when they encountered you, the script broke. Your withdrawal wasn't weakness, it was awareness. And that single act collapsed their game. They expected you to chase. You chose silence. They expected dependence. You chose sovereignty. The cosmic joke is that they were the first to approach you, assuming you would be another easy target, another soul they could seize and let go. However, your energy functioned on a frequency that they had never experienced before. They're basically rearranging their whole life around the prospect of having one genuine moment with you, since they're now caught up in such strong emotions. They are still unaware that you are not causing them to become detached. It's not even conscious, nor is it a game or strategy. Something essential changed when you really awakened, not just spiritually opened, but totally activated in your divine design. You began to provide presence without possession, connection without strings, and love without hooks. For anybody who relied on manipulation, control, or emotional games, this pure vibration of unconditional divine love was like kryptonite. This individual is most likely rebuilding all of their interactions with you at this precise moment. They kept repeating that first strategy, that premeditated action in which they anticipated that you would lean in, express curiosity, or exhibit some weakness that they might take advantage of. Rather, you reacted with true love without need, openness without desperation, and warmth without connection. Because their whole world was predicated on the idea that all relationships are transactions and that love is nothing more than mutual manipulation, it completely destroyed their operating system. However, there is more to this tale, something that has been going on behind the scenes. When someone else, a totally different energy, saw your light, they misinterpreted what it meant. This scavenging ghost believed they had found a simple target. Stealing energy from recently awakened souls is their specialty. They carried out their custom of fabricating connections in order to drain life power. They may have attempted to traumatize via stage drama or presented you with an alluring opportunity. They were certain they were going to take your power with them. However, they were unaware that your distance serves as a barrier of spiritual reflection. They attempted to connect chords, but each one bounced back. Their own energy field mirrored every hook they attempted to place. Every power drop they attempted to pilfer was compounded and reversed. Their whole world is presently being destroyed by the enormous karmic wrath that resulted from this. Family secrets are coming to light. Connections that are hidden are being revealed. Their standing has been jeopardized. Their fortunes had completely turned upside down. This whole drama has been playing out for the individual who has affections for you, which has further exacerbated their emotional turmoil. Without even being aware that you're engaged in combat, they're seeing how you manage spiritual warfare. They're keeping an eye on you as someone attempted to practically take your fate. They are seeing how your energy is not only protecting itself, but also becoming more powerful as a result of the assault. As they realize you're acting on a whole different level of spiritual authority than anybody they've ever met, every observation intensifies their sentiments. Consider the implications for a person whose identity is based on control. They've been honing their emotional chess skills for years, constantly anticipating the next move. They have researched attachment styles, body language, and human psychology. They've mastered the art of strategically withdrawing to arouse desire. But because you don't function inside the framework they've perfected, you've rendered all of their knowledge pointless. Their identity is in turmoil as a result of this. They have always been the one in charge, the one who can go, and the one that other people want to catch. Never being vulnerable is the foundation of their whole sense of value. However, all of their rules are violated with you. Since you're not chasing after anybody, they can't force you to do so. You have total control over your energy, therefore they can't make you require them. They are confronting aspects of themselves that they have spent their whole lives avoiding late at night when they are unable to fall asleep. They are coming to the realization that all of their previous relationships were a show. However, you've helped them recognize that they've never really experienced love or put their heart at danger since they've always kept it safe behind games and tactics. Something significant is being planned here by the universe. You are at the epicenter of a tremendous spiritual recalibration that is exposing energy thieves and misleading connections. You aren't simply transformed by your waking. It established an environment around you that requires everyone entering it to be genuine. Those who are unable to match that frequency are either altered or banished. A middle ground does not exist. Think about the enormity of what is now taking on in the spiritual world. There are repercussions for anybody who has ever attempted to control you. We are exposing any fake friend who attempts to take advantage of you. Any energy vampire who tries to consume your light is famished. This isn't retribution or retaliation in the conventional sense. It's only the inevitable result of attempting to use lower-level strategies to communicate with holy frequency. The scavenger is frantically attempting to return to your field. Their unsuccessful onslaught has sapped their energies to the point that they are like a spiritual vampire in need of nourishment. They may be preparing a different strategy. However, because of their transgression of spiritual law, their energy signature has become so contaminated that they are no longer able to reach your frequency. The way their botched strike has had unanticipated repercussions is really intriguing. Information is carried when someone tries to take holy energy and fails. You become aware of all their strategies and covert motivations. You have gained knowledge about spiritual warfare and energy manipulation that you were not previously aware of. This information was downloaded defensively. The individual who has emotions for you is starving herself in the meanwhile. They're desperate for your attention on an emotional level. They know they can't force their way into your heart, which is what's torturing them. They are more terrified of true VU. They're reorganizing their whole life around the potential for a relationship with you. However, they're carrying out all of this covertly while putting on a front of indifference that is killing them on the inside. Let me tell you about the grocery stores and coffee places you often visit. Without even acknowledging it, this individual has committed your habits to memory. They are aware of your probable presence at certain locations. To make chance meetings more likely, they have modified their itinerary. They convince themselves that they are not stalking. Rather, they're just in need of coffee at the very moment you typically get yours. It's not a coincidence. They are well-planned moments in which they are able to remain in your company without expressing how deeply they feel. Your distance is a filter rather than a barricade. It doesn't prevent people from leaving. It's exposing their true selves. People who come to you with sincere intentions are made to feel noticed and accepted. People who come with ulterior motives feel vulnerable. Those who use manipulation feel as if their own strategies have been undermined. You've transformed into a live spiritual mirror that amplifies and purifies all that individuals bring to the exchange. The individual who has affections for you is unable to move on because of this. Every time they consider wearing their typical masks to approach you, the hollowness of such attempts is mirrored back to them. They're being forced to face the fact that they've never really exhibited who they are and been authentic with anybody. Because many timelines are now merging in your life, the cosmic intensity is increasing. The time period in which energy vampires were supposed to drain you is coming to an end. Your intended period of being stuck in codependent relationships is coming to an end. The time frame in which you were supposed to play small has totally fallen apart. You're entering a moment when using your entire spiritual power is necessary, not simply activated, where new relationships are built upon your divine detachment. You may not be aware of it, but something else is going on. You have been the subject of prophetic dreams for the individual with hidden sentiments. In these dreams, people see themselves shedding their masks and being honest for the first time. However, they also see the potential for rejection of you treating them with the same cold affection that you show everyone. They have cold chills from these nightmares. They must risk all they have based their identity on in order to be accepted or rejected. You're drawing the individual with hidden emotions into this new timeline. However, individuals can only go inside if they give up all of their false self-perceptions. They're now in a great deal of agony because of this. Every false identity is being squeezed out of them while they are in the cosmic birth canal. They had to decide between preserving their delusion of control and perhaps falling in love for the first time. They are beginning to get downloads about your true identity outside of the physical display, which heightens the intensity of this. They are seeing a peek of your heavenly design and the purpose of your soul. They are becoming aware that they are more than merely attracted to a person. They are being summoned to a person whose energy field inherently balances chaos and whose very presence elevates awareness. However, this is the storyline surprise that makes all the difference. They're also learning that they don't need to become flawless in order to be with you. Because of your detachment, you are able to appreciate them just the way they are as they develop into their true selves. The agony for them is that in order to get this unconditional love, they must first embrace who they are and present themselves as they really are, not as they would want to be perceived. Additionally, they have never done it to anybody. Consider the mentality of a person who has never been the rejected, but has always been the rejecter. Their whole neural system is geared for dominance and control. However, you have completely reversed their program. The only person they can no longer feel superior to is you. You dwell in a realm where superiority and inferiority don't register as notions. Not because you're attempting to be better than others. You are neither superior to nor inferior to anybody. You just are. And no game could ever be as appealing as that wholeness. In fact, the scavenger's unsuccessful assault had a purpose. It demonstrated to the emotional person your spiritual sovereignty and protection. It proved that you are impervious to possession, control, and manipulation. It demonstrated that those who attempt to hurt you simply hurt themselves. For them, knowing that you are protected from outside dangers is both reassuring and scary. However, it also implies that they are unable to communicate with you using any of their typical strategies. This scavenging scenario has an additional component. Something unexpected occurred after they were unable to drain your energy. They can't completely cut themselves off from the understanding of what they attempted to accomplish, but they become tied to you in a manner they never intended. Not in a good way. They are reminded of their failure with you each time they attempt to move on. You've turned into the one setback they can't explain away, their spiritual kryptonite. They're most likely experiencing an ego death at the moment. They're dismantling what they believe to be true about relationships. They're learning that control has nothing to do with true closeness. It is impossible to plan for that real relationship. You are the key that they are unable to turn, and the masks they have worn for so long have become into prisons. Due to the temporal acceleration, events that would often take years might now happen in a matter of weeks or days. Spiritual learning that would normally take many lives are being expedited for the individual with emotions. All of their repressed emotions are being thrust onto them. It's similar to seeing someone go through decades of treatment in real time because they were unable to win your heart. Allow me to depict what is now taking on in their inner world. They wake up every morning with your name on their lips, which seems like an unspoken plea. They look at their phone in the hopes of seeing you. They compose communications that they never deliver, write letters that they promptly erase. Because they lack the confidence to be so vulnerable in real life, they practice discussions that will never take place. All this energy restructuring is going to cause a huge change in your physical reality. The individual who is holding sentiments is about to lose it and will need to make a decision. Either they come right up to you, risking rejection and the breakdown of their fake identity, or they completely disappear from your timeline. The agony of desiring you while keeping their masks on is going to be too much. There isn't a third way for them to remain close while staying out of sight. They are really becoming ill from the energy needed to repress their emotions. Strange synchronicities, such as music that seem to convey messages, recurring numerical patterns, and unexpected meetings that seem planned, may begin to appear all around you. All of these indicate that the cosmos is getting ready for a big change in time. These indicators are also being seen by the individual who is experiencing them, which heightens their sense of urgency. They sense that there is not much time left. Even they're still unable to completely understand the extent of their metamorphosis. They're not only falling for you, they are evolving into a whole other version of themselves. Another aspect of their former personality perishes every day they fail to act on their emotions. There's a fracture in their armor every time they keep up the front. Their love for you is actually breaking them down. This is what Spirit wants you to know about your part in all of this. However, all you have to do is keep being who you are. You don't need to ease your remoteness. You don't have to give up your sovereignty. Your frequency will be harmonized via the appropriate connections. Those who are unable to do so will inevitably go. The intriguing aspect of divine detachment is that it is neither heartless nor frigid. Since it gives people the freedom to be who they are, it is truly the ultimate expression of love. You're not driving them away or drawing them to you. All you're doing is living in your truth, which serves as a sorting system for everyone who comes into contact with it. It's the application of spiritual physics. The boomerang effect is happening to the scavenger. With all of their collected karma, every ounce of energy they attempted to steal is going back to its proper owners with interest. They are seeing the disintegration of their well-crafted universe. You are now completely protected by divine decree. So even if they make one more desperate effort, it will only hasten their demise. Imagine what it would be like for them to suddenly encounter an insurmountable wall after years of operating effectively as energy thieves. It completely discredits their whole approach. They must face the fact that their way of life is fading into obscurity. At the same time, the individual who has emotions is seeing their fake world dissolve. However, they have the chance to be redeemed via genuineness. Unlike the scavenger, they're being given the opportunity to turn their suffering into a breakthrough. They have complete control over whether or not they seize this chance, but it won't be available forever. It's likely that you sense a growing sense of tension in your area, as if something big is about to happen. This is the feeling of time frames getting ready to change. This tension is felt by the individual who is holding sentiments, but it is amplified. They are aware that they are running out of time and space to hide. They've been observing you without recognizing that your very presence is educating them. You are demonstrating to people what true connection looks like each time you engage with them in a warm but unnecessary way. You are exhibiting spiritual sovereignty each time you set and uphold limits without harshness. Simply by being yourself, you're effectively deprogramming years of indoctrination. One particular instance that they can't get out of their head is when they saw you interacting with someone else with such sincere concern and total detachment. That particular incident served as their awakening to the possibility of true love. And it scared them because it showed how artificial all of their prior relationships had been. When people gaze at you, the mirror they perceive reflects not just their appearance, but also the whole potential of their spirit. They glimpse who they may become if they removed all of their masks. Because it demands them to die to all they have learned about themselves, this vision is simultaneously the most beautiful and the most terrible thing they have ever seen. The fact that they are unable to discuss it with anybody is very upsetting. How do they explain that someone who doesn't even seem to recognize them is undoing them in a manner that they much need? How do they explain that their fixation is your lack of interest? They are suffering in total seclusion. Recognize that many forces are coming together as this cosmic play nears its climax. Desperate efforts by the scavenger are causing energetic disruptions. Cosmic forces are forcing the individual with emotions to make a choice. As you stand in the middle, your divine detachment keeps you perfectly balanced, just being the lighthouse, neither pushing nor pulling. The impending settlement won't resemble anyone's expectations. If the sentimental person musters the bravery, it won't be via extravagant displays. It will be with vulnerable candor and calm honesty. They will have to admit that they have been observing, desiring, and rebuilding their whole life around the prospect of you. The time will come when all of the hidden dynamics will be revealed. The emotional individual may eventually speak out, or they may completely vanish. The scavenger may retreat defeated or make one last move, and you will remain unaltered, continuing to exude that exquisite distance. The divine contradiction, however, completes the cycle. The individual who chases those they can reject has learned that the only worthwhile person to seek is the one they cannot control. You are the only person they have ever really desired because of your distance, which at first annoyed them. You've showed them what they've been looking for all their lives in your total sovereignty. Someone who doesn't have to own them in order to adore them. Someone who can see them without having to make any repairs. There's more to the tears behind that mirror than simply desire. They resulted from realizing that what they believed they desired, control and emotional dominance, for example, was really keeping them from getting what they truly needed. Just by existing, you have become their best instructor. The scavenger's failure now serves as evidence of your safety. Your spiritual upgrading comes from their attempted thievery. You were activated by their strike. What was intended to kill you merely served to highlight your increased indestructibility. And the individual seeing all of this is discovering that true strength is from having the guts to be open and honest with someone who may not feel the same way. Everything about this circumstance has been planned by God. It is an affirmation of your spiritual authority. It serves as a terrible lesson in spiritual law for the scavenger. It's an encouragement to change for the individual with emotions. Even if it's not what their ego desires, each participant is getting just what their soul needs for its development. You stand precisely where you started, but with total consciousness as this cosmic cycle comes to an end. The one person they can't control has brought the person chasing others they can reject to their knees. The scavenger who attempted to rob you of your destiny has lost it. You've also found that your divine detachment opens doors to connections that function on whole other principles rather than acting as a barrier to connection. When love is unrestricted, when there is a relationship but no codependency. All of this was planned by the universe to reveal something important to you. You are not required to pursue or be pursued. You are not required to play games or protect yourself from them. At this frequency, your basic presence attracts what is meant for you and repels what isn't. Either the individual who is holding sentiments will come out to meet you in person, or they will continue to observe you from the shadows. However, you are not accountable for their trip. It is not your job to alter them. Your only responsibility is to remain the lighthouse, steadfast in your divine authority, and providing light to everyone in your path. You've dispelled the myth that manipulation and games are necessary in relationships. The idea that someone must constantly love more or keep control has been disproved by you. The whole network of codependent connections has been transcended by you. You've evolved into a creature that is able to love divinely without expecting anything in return, giving all without running out, and being unrestricted even in the most intimate relationships. All of this is visible to the person sobbing behind that mirror. They glimpse what they could have if they had the guts to take off their masks. They see the potential for love, for their unadulterated, flawed, and exquisitely human reality. And that potential is both the task that may be too much for them to handle and the solution to every prayer they have never acknowledged. This is your chosen moment of realization, the realization of your own divine power. It's transcendence, not barriers, that has made you impenetrable. You work at a frequency where only sincerity and truth can endure. Anyone who wishes to accompany you, there must be prepared to extinguish all falsehoods in the flames of your divine detachment. The individual with emotions isn't really sobbing over unfulfilled love. They're sobbing because they see in you the birth of something they're not sure they're bold enough to become and the death of all they've built their identity upon. Their reflection is your separation. They now learn from your sovereignty. They will never be able to return to their previous behavior. For anything else than the truth, you have destroyed them because of what you've unintentionally ignited in them. Those tears behind the mirror are an odd mixture of thankfulness and fear. They believed they were the player and everyone else was the game, which is a cosmic joke. However, you've shown that the true game is about going beyond the need of playing at all. They can't go back now, yet they're afraid to enter the new path you're demonstrating to them just by being there. The sound of a soul exploding is those tears behind the mirror. It remains to be seen whether they will allow themselves to be reborn or if they will always be troubled by what could have been if they had the guts to be themselves.